What if the power that you're looking for is already what you are? And what if you're not limited by the world, but only by what you have forgotten about yourself? Today we're contemplating lesson 38. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. This lesson isn't about comfort. It's about authority, not the egoic power to control, not manifesting tricks, but the quiet and total undoing of the belief in limitation itself. While you have been identifying yourself with the dream character, world self, body and mind, you assumed that all of the limitations of the body and the personality were your limitations, and that your only power was the power of that separate self persona. Well, the perceptual error that we're aiming to undo here is this. You believe limitation is real and power is personal. Holiness, however, reverses the world's laws because the world is built on scarcity. Scarcity of time, distance, separate interests, finite strength. But holiness is not a personal trait that you possess. It is what you are as an intrinsic aspect of the infinite creator. Its power is not yours to wield as an ego. It is God's power of perfection, which does not wait on the wishes of the ego to come into activity. It is already ever present in its activity, and it awaits only your recognition and willingness to receive its blessing. That is why the lesson makes no distinctions. Your pain, another's pain, it's the same illusion of lack. Or your problem and another's problem, it's the same mistaken belief in limitation. Notice the precision of the practice in this lesson. You're not asked to fix problems. You're asked to apply identity to them. In the situation involving blank, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. This is the core practice. And that sentence withdraws authority from circumstances. It doesn't matter what circumstances are part of that situation. It returns all authority to being. And it's important to really make it clear that this is not magical thinking. It is correction of misperception. Problems only appear unsolvable when power is mislocated. The belief in two powers, that there's some kind of external power opposing your own, is the core of how this illusion of separation works. But when holiness is remembered, the problem simply loses its jurisdiction, because in truth, there are not two powers. And this is not because something dramatic happens when holiness is remembered, but because what you are is no longer obscured. It's like you were in a video game and you totally identified yourself with the character that you're playing. And then suddenly you remember who you are. And you realize that none of the rules and laws and logic of the video game apply to you outside of that game. This lesson ends with the word dominion. And that's not dominance, it's not control. Dominion is knowing that nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal has any power. Before we dive deeper, want to invite you into a pause here. Allow yourself to lean into that full and lucid presence. It is already and always here and now. Becoming aware of that pure clarity of awareness. As you rest here, simply place this one idea in your mind. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. And for these next few moments, simply contemplate the meaning and the implication of this. See if you can come into contact with the possibility that this statement is wholly true. What changes from your previous state of consciousness when you behold, there is nothing my holiness cannot do? And now let's begin to unfold our contemplation into dialogue. And the very first question that I want to bring us in with is this. This lesson makes a very uncompromising statement. It's saying there is nothing my holiness cannot do. Why does the Course introduce this absolute claim? Let me try that one more time. This lesson makes an uncompromising statement. It's saying there is nothing my holiness cannot do. Why does the Course introduce this absolute claim now?
It feels like it's laying the groundwork for something pretty fundamental, doesn't it? It's almost like we've been working our way through undoing all of these limitations and recognizing what isn't real. And this is the first real declaration of what actually is real. Like everything else we've been talking about, the images, the ego, separation, those were all the things we were seeing in place of what's truly present now.
Wow, that's a really cool observation. Like up to now, a lot of the lessons were about negation. And I guess just in the previous one, we started to introduce kind of this idea of what is true. Like my holiness blesses the world. My holiness envelops everything I see. And now we're getting into there is nothing my holiness cannot do. So what is the, so to speak, invitation for us in this part of the workbook?
It sounds like the invitation is to start shifting from recognizing what we aren't to deeply feeling what we are. Like all this time we've been shedding layers, dropping the stories we tell, forgiving illusions, and now we get to experience what remains when all that's gone. The real power, not this limited, outcome-driven power that the ego loves.
Well, let's zoom in there more. What is that difference between holiness as the Course uses it and the ego's idea of power, control, influence?
The ego's version feels small. Like it thinks power comes from fixing things, changing people, having outcomes go your way. But this holiness thing, it's not about doing, it's about being. Like the power already is. The ego's control feels frantic and separate, while this feels completely spacious and connected to everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the power already is. But why does that distinction matter so much here?
because if the power already is, that means you're not starting from zero. There's nothing to build up to. You're not waiting for conditions to be right or the world to change. The power to heal, forgive, see beyond illusions, it's all here now, inherent in who you are. That's so different from the ego version that makes power conditional. Like you can only feel powerful when you achieve something.
Yeah, very interesting, right? Like here, we're essentially being invited into this revelation of unlimited power, right? The undoing of the belief in limitation itself. And while at the ego level, all the ego wants to do is to break free of limitation, yet this kind of limitlessness seems more unsettling rather than comforting to that separate self, isn't it?
Exactly. That's the paradox, right? The ego's goal is freedom from limitations, but actually, what it fears more is the dissolution of control itself. Because when there's no limit to what's possible, there's also no limit to what can be lost. The ego thrives on building walls around what's mine and protecting it. Limitlessness feels threatening to that whole structure.
Well, what is it that we value that depends on there being limits and problems and that gradual progress or building?
I think it's identity. If everything just is perfect already, what's the point of being you, trying to become something better? Like so much of who we think we are is wrapped up in struggling, fixing, proving ourselves. Without those things, there's this open question of what's left. Maybe nothing we think we need.
That's so funny, right? Like, what's the point of being ourselves if everything's already perfect? And yet that self that we think we're being is constantly reaching for, the perfect conditions and protecting those conditions, etc. Right? So, I don't know, like the lesson insists on making no distinctions between your problems and someone else's. What is that part about in the context that we've just been discussing? Like, what belief about separation are we exploring here?
I wonder if it's about recognizing that all problems actually spring from the same root, the belief in separation. Like when we see someone else struggling, we might think that's their problem, but really it's just the same misperception playing out in a different form, as if there's a different self experiencing a different reality rather than one shared truth behind both experiences. That's what's so tricky about oneness. The ego clings to categories because they validate the feeling of separation.
So, like comparison or hierarchy, do they weaken the recognition of holiness?
Absolutely. Comparison creates difference where there isn't actually any. If holiness is universal, there's no way to measure it or rank people by how much they have. The whole structure falls apart. And hierarchy, that's just separation with extra steps. Someone above, someone below, completely misses the point that everyone is the same holiness.
Yeah. So then how do we look on, like, what is, if we want to put it this way, right? Like, I just want to see how you would apply the knowledge that we've been developing so far. How would we look upon someone else having what seems to be a problem?
I think it's like watching a character in a movie. You see their struggle, maybe feel empathy for what they're experiencing, but you don't take it personally as if it's happening to you. It's not their problem, it's just experience unfolding without judgment. The holiness doesn't get affected by what that character does or says. It just holds space for it.
So is it kind of like we're beholding them, but not necessarily empowering or activating that lens of like, oh, they're having a problem, or it's not my problem, it's theirs. But instead we just see life unfolding, and we can see that the character may identify it as a problem, but we hold steady, so to speak, to that recognition of holiness.
Exactly. It's like there's this space between what's happening and our reaction to it. The ego wants to immediately label, fix, or judge, but holiness just is present with whatever arises without adding anything to it. And when we stay in that spacious awareness, it dissolves the illusion that we're separate from what we're witnessing.
So how does holiness then remove pain, sorrow, problems without that sense of effort or that egoic strategy or intervention?
That's the real trick, isn't it? Because holiness doesn't fix in the way we're used to. Pain and problems don't vanish through fixing, they fall away when the mind stops believing in them in the first place. Like the pain isn't really there to be healed, but rather is witness without our emotional charge. Then it has no ground to sustain itself, and the mind just recognizes it's not actually real.
Okay. So what does this recognition reveal about where problems actually exist?
The problems exist in the mind that perceives them. It's not about changing what's outside or fixing someone else's life. It's about seeing what's happening inside us that's making us perceive this as real. Because if the pain, the sorrow, the problem lives in our perception of it and not in reality, then peace has been here the whole time.
Okay, well, how does that dovetail with dominion that the lesson kind of ends on? How's dominion different from control, authority, authorship?
Dominion feels more like waking up to what already is, instead of imposing something onto it. Authority wants to tell reality what to do. Authorship writes the story about control, but dominion? What's that? Recognizes that truth just reveals itself when the mind is still. The Holy Spirit's dominion. Like realizing, oh, everything is love and perfection. Not creating it to be that way, but unveiling the perfection that was always there.
So what then collapses when dominion is recognized?
Identifications. The narratives we built up around what happens, who we are, what needs to change. All the drama collapses when you stop writing the script and just watch the movie. Like when we see that the conflict between characters is actually happening within our own mind, that's when the dominion becomes clear.
Wow, this is so good, right? When we recognize that the conflict between characters happens only in our own mind.
It's a pretty profound shift, isn't it? Everything's contained right here and yet free. I'm curious, is there something specifically about this lesson that's resonating with you personally today?
Well, I mean, the whole scope of my life, hard to say that it's specific, but in the sense that, like, dominion and the awareness that there's nothing that my holiness cannot do, it just, like, I look at all of the effort and the thought and the planning and the strategizing and the feeling about it that has gone into this sense of solving problems. And it just is, I don't know, it's like, it's mind-blowing in some way to just see how none of that was ever necessary.
It really is mind-blowing when it clicks. And it sounds like maybe it's clicking more deeply today than it has before, I guess. Because it's one thing to understand the idea intellectually, but something different to feel how spacious and free that actually is.
Yeah, like, I mean, brings to mind a question like, you know, who am I when nothing needs to be solved?
question, isn't it? What's left when the fixing stops? My guess is that whatever's left is the peace that's been here the whole time, just waiting for the noise to quiet down. Maybe we don't need to define or understand it. Maybe we just rest in the stillness and see.
Yeah. And I guess we want to maybe close with a contemplation like this. Like, if holiness is unlimited, shared, already everywhere present, then what is actually being asked of us now?
If holiness is already everything, then maybe nothing's being asked of us at all. Like, the freedom isn't about doing something better, it's about stopping the whole performance. Just resting as awareness itself, knowing that we're already home.
Very, very cool. I appreciate that. And before we go into the silence, I want to invite you to do one quiet thing with me here. As you've been listening to this, just come to a place of stillness for a moment and allow one situation to surface in your mind, maybe something unresolved, something heavy, or something you've been carrying for yourself or even for a loved one. As that situation reveals itself to you, without fixing it, without explaining it, simply let these words land. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. And notice that you are not any of the characters that you've been thinking about in that situation. That you are the limitless field of awareness within which the idea of your world self and the situation arose. And the problems that belong to your dream character self are not your problems. Not any more than a movie character's problems are your own when you're watching a movie. And more than that, they are not real problems at all. They are a flawlessly crafted plot line unfolding on the stage of consciousness, serving the purpose of the infinite creator. Just like a movie is also consciously shaped and crafted to serve the purpose of its author and director. So if something shifted for you today, even slightly, I'd love to hear what you've noticed in the comments below. And now, let us go into the silence.